When you're ready, go when you're ready.
A lot of you already know I'm Clarence Quinn, I run for Precinct 4 Commissioner. I've lived in Precinct 4 for 45 years. If you look here in 1969, I graduated New Canyon High School in 1974. I went on to be a pipe fitter school, got into construction. At the age of 22, I was moved up to supervisor foreman for Brandon Root. I have not turned back since. I've always been in supervision role in some form or fashion. Right now, I'm currently a safety manager for Gowan Incorporated, which is a big mechanical contractor in Houston. We run about 450 employees, and I just told today we're going to hire another 100 before the end of the year because we got some big jobs coming up. We got the big job at Exxon we're still working on. We got several other jobs, Phillips 66 and 60 kickoff, a big job downtown Houston. So I'm involved in a lot of the bigger projects on the safety side with this company. And before that, I was with another company that started out in 1993. I hired out with them as a general superintendent. We went from a small four-man company to a little $20 million when I left in December 2012. Now, the reason I left was so I could get some time off, because I was working from about 4 o'clock in the morning to about 7 o'clock at night, 5 days a week, most of the time 6 days a week. I needed some time off, so I changed companies. I've got 2 children. I've got a son who's 35, got a good girl who's 34, got 3 grandchildren, ages 15 down to 11. I attend Caney Creek United Pentecostal Church. God is my leader. I pray to God every day. I look for Him for guidance. And that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, who's got the first question? Go ahead.
What is the proper use of this certificate of obligation, and what circumstances should it be used for?
It should be used for emergency uses only. In case you need, we have a disaster or something pops up that we need emergency money, we should be able to use that without having to go out for the proper bidding process. Going through the whole long drawn out process, it's a way to avoid that, to get some quick money for emergency use. That's the way it should be used, for emergency only.
Okay, who's next? Don't be shy. Michelle, go ahead.
Hi, I'm from Precinct 4,
Yeah.
and I'd like to know what you think about the way things have been done now with Reinhardt in office.
Trying to get me in trouble. Precinct 4, I've been there 45 years. I was there in 1973 when we had a big flood. There's places in Precinct 4 since then that's get the same problems as they had back then. The same places flood, the same roads flood. They've dug the ditches out a little deeper in some places, and holds a little more water now, but it still floods. We've had a few select areas that he's taken care of, and a few select areas he's chosen not to take care of. And I need to get in there, or somebody needs to get in there and take care of all areas. You know, a lot of people talk about the voters. When you get in office, you're gonna set aside the voters that got you in office. It don't work that way. We don't have 7,000 people voting in Precinct 4. We got, what, 58,000, something like that. So once you get in office, you got to serve everybody. You can't serve just that select few that put you in there, so you got to be able to serve everybody. And that's something that hadn't been done, and we need to do it.
Go ahead, John.
Clarence, last night you were on the panel of discussion at the Eagle Forum when I brought up the aspect of Jim Clark's $160,000 in IRS liens against his property, and that was over 9 straight years between 2001 and 2009. And in light of that revelation, do you think, and considering what is at stake in that county with a $370 million budget a year and the explosion about to happen, do you think Mr. Clark should continue in the race?
Well, that'd be up to Mr. Clark whether he wanted to pull out of the race or not. Personally, if I owed that kind of money to the government, of any sort, if I owed it to the county or the state or the US government, I would've cleaned all that up before I ever put my name on the dotted line to run for public office. I wouldn't let that be brought out in the public. And if it was in court, if he was all tied up in court, he was suing them or they're suing him, and it's already kind of settled that we're going to court over this thing, be one thing, but I don't think that's the case in this deal. I think it's still his word to their word, and they're fighting it back and forth that way. I'm not for sure, I don't know all the details.
Quick follow-up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you concerned, would you be concerned if he was elected commissioner, considering that current state of affairs?
If he owed the money, I'd be highly concerned about it, because he's gonna be trying to find some money to pay the debt off. I would be concerned about it, yes, sir.
Who's next? Oh, Michelle, you get extra latitude. You're
I get
listening.
extra because I think I'm the only one here tonight that lives in the precinct, so I have.
Right, at least you got
Do
one.
you too? Okay, well, you mentioned the flooding, and I live out in the country off of Old Houston, so you pass through the flooding to get to my house.
Yes, ma'am.
You know where I'm talking
I know
about.
exactly what you're talking
And I
about.
know what you're talking about with the deeper ditches, and that is a big issue.
It is.
I would also like to know, though, with all of the booming that's coming to our area, would you commit to not giving projects to companies or friends that you have financial interest in, because that's happened in the past?
Well, there's no worry about that, because I don't have nobody doing that.
You don't have financial interest in companies,
No.
is that what you're saying?
I don't believe friends are do business with friends, or kin folks, or relatives of any sort. I believe in keeping it clean. I've always kept my work ethics clean. I've never I've had vendors try to buy me off, take me on trips if I do this, and I've always turned them down. I've never done it. Never in my history have I done any of that. And the vendors that I deal with know that. They can't buy me off. I'm not for sale. And Old Houston Road is one on my list of, if I
I
can-
remember the last time you ran, and you did say, you mentioned Old Houston.
Old Houston Road, I've got several friends live over there. One of them owns that RV park.
Okay,
But,
on the other side of Old Houston,
Right.
yeah.
Old Houston Road needs to be 4 lanes, from 1485 to 1314, it needs to be 4 lanes. That's a major road now. It needs a lot of attention, same way as Saunders Road, it needs a lot of attention over on Saunders Road. Old Saunders Road needs a lot of attention. You know, last time we were running, I think Ed was saying they're gonna widen out Saunders Road. And what they end up doing is just doing overlay on it. They didn't do any widening of it.
So, speaking of roads, one of your answers was, what's the balance between continued infrastructure growth and relief for the taxpayer? Your answer was, structure growth for the county should come at a minimal cost to the taxpayer. Okay, so what's Clarence's view of a minimal cost to the taxpayer?
Well, when new development comes
Because
in-
you just talked about this lane this road needs to be 4 lanes wide, so where's that balance?
When new development comes in, it needs to be planned. We need to look at the road structures or the structures that we got around there, the ditches, the drainage, and all that, and see what's gonna have to be done to accommodate the new development. In my opinion, I think the new developers coming in ought to support some of the costs. I don't think it ought to all go back to the taxpayer. They're gonna benefit from it. They're gonna make profit off of it, unless they're a nonprofit organization. I ain't seen very many of them around there. So, when I say minimum cost, it shouldn't be the people who live on Old Houston Road have to pay for Old Houston Road to get renovated for a new development, move in over and cause more traffic on it. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Who had their hand up? Go ahead, Tom.
Okay. When it was talking about what are 3 largest challenges, and you said, room for improvement, and that the good old boy of government in Montgomery County needs to go away, and let the voters of the county be able to decide when, where, and how their tax dollars are spent. Can you elaborate a little more on that?
When you go around and talk to a lot of people in the county, you ask them questions, or they ask you questions of what's going on. They have no idea. They haven't been told. The only information they get is what comes out in the paper, and that's limited. Commissioners kind of keep some of that stuff quiet. I believe in having meetings in the afternoon, at night, where the working people can have a chance to go and express their views. And that way you'll get a good idea of what they want to do. Myself, the way I work, it's hard for me to go to commissioner's court. It's hard for me to find out what's going on in the community. Because I work all day in Houston. I'm not working up here in this area. And so it makes it tough. And so in order to give them the opportunity, go around in the neighborhoods, you know, go up to Fostoria or security and places like that, and set up meetings, monthly meetings, or whatever we need to do. So let the citizens, the taxpayers have more input.
Guy.
You say it, so in light of increased property evaluations, will you vote to decrease the property tax rate? And you say no. And then you give the details which seem to say yes, so you can clarify your statement.
With new development coming in and you take a piece of property, you pay, just example, you pay $1,000 a year tax for a bare piece of property. They come in and build a building on it, now you're gonna get $3,000 a year off of it. So your tax rate shouldn't have to go up,
Okay, so your statement here, you misunderstood the question.
evidently. And by new development coming in, we should actually be able to lower the tax rate.
Who's next?
You guys don't give short answers, I don't draw them.
Okay, Daniel, go ahead.
So,
You got a question?
I was wanting to ask about the 30-6 law last night. I have a more specific question on that. The county commissioners court has that on it. Is there any other judge or court in that building besides the commissioners court? In
What?
that building? Beside the building?
they don't allow the guns inside?
Yeah.
No, are there any court?
All
entity?
courts, all courts
Oh,
allow that.
okay, another court, yeah.
No, there are no. There are no courts in there.
Are there any
There's no
courts
court.
Oh, no,
besides
it's in
Commissioner's
the county
Court?
commissioner building?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any court law in there.
Okay, yeah. So would you more specifically then, would you support replacing or taking off that 30-6 law in the county commissioners building and maybe replacing it with something like this?
Depends if I get elected commissioner or not.
Good answer. Okay, so which way is it now? You got me curious.
If I'm
So if
elected, I don't want
this.
No,
Well, in the spirit of accountability, you know.
no, I really, I don't see any reason why we'd have to have a sign prohibiting guns in that building at all. I can see it in the court of law.
Because
I can
the first
understand.
time I went in that building after they built it, I was carrying, I walked up there, saw it, and I had to go walk a quarter mile back, put my gun back in the car, so I was kind of annoyed about that.
Yeah.
And
Believe me,
that's why I was
guys,
asking if there was
I'm all
anything-
for the guns. I've got,
Yeah.
well, I ain't gonna say how many I've got, but I've got some.
Okay, who's next?
Jay.
And I do,
Jay, okay.
I do carry mine everywhere I go, just in case somebody wants to try to chase me down.
You know what a unit road system is, or unitized road system is?
A what?
Unitized road system is?
No, sir.
What do you think of the idea of placing all of county road maintenance and development under the office of the county engineer, and basically having the county engineer do the planning and the design and scheduling for maintenance and build out of county roads, instead of having it done by this commissioner for his precinct, that commissioner for his precinct?
Well, it was set up that way. It was set up for each commissioner to take charge of his precinct. That's the way the state set it up. Legislation set it up, so we'd have to go out all the way and change legislation before we did anything like that.
Favor of doing something like that?
I would favor it, because now you're getting the local control out of the precincts, and you give it to somebody over on the other side, maybe the other side of the county. They don't know the precinct, don't know the needs and the needs of the people.
So can you repeat your answer, because I got a little confused. I thought you said you were in favor of,
Not in favor.
not in favor of centralized.
Right,
You want each one to have their own
individually. yes.
control. And so is the 25% each, is that the right way to do it, or does the percent need to be changed? Because the Woodlands people are saying, you know, hey, look, we're paying 3 or 4 times as much of the money, we're putting it in, but, you know, for the other county to get our money, they don't like that.
And they have more traffic.
They have a bigger need, they put more money in, so they want more of the money. So what's your
That's the whole
thought?
purpose of budgeting. I mean, if you sit down in the precinct, and you figure out what your needs is for the year, or the upcoming year, and you set your budget for that, regardless if it's more or less in the other precincts. I don't see where you sit there and divide it equally among each precinct. The money needs to go where it's needed. If we need more money in precinct 4 than precinct 3 needs, then we need to get more money. Right now, we only keep doing, that's what, 2.5% of the total budget stays in Montgomery County, and then precinct 4. It's not very much.
So you're saying that 2.5% stays in East Montgomery County?
Yes.
On roads or on everything?
Well, $6.5 million budget for precinct 4. It's 2.5% of the budget.
It's interesting. Next question. You have to raise your hand high because I can't see you.
All right.
Yeah, okay, good.
How do you differentiate between want and need? Because I think,
It's kind of like you're at the house. Your needs, your light bill, your phone bill, your insurance.
well, I realize that.
That's your needs. Your wants is things that you want above and beyond your needs. Your parks, is it a need over a road? In some cases it might be, most cases it's not.
So how I guess where I'm heading with this is, how does that get decided in your precinct? I mean, from the standpoint, if you're running the office, how does it get decided what the wants and the needs are?
Well, let's go back to the voter district, we have set the meetings up so the voters can decide that.
Well, the voters are going to tell you.
Do they want a
everything
better
they want.
road this time and hold off on the park, or they want to get the park fixed and come back through the road?
So you're saying you would kind of run your precinct by popular
Popular vote?
vote
Yes, sir.
at the precinct?
Yes, sir.
So how do you do 58,000 votes? Because you said you got 58,000 voters. How do you take the pulse of 58,000 people?
You gotta have local meetings, you gotta have to get out there and talk to them. You can't get to all of them, not all of them's gonna participate. Just like
Yeah,
in
that's-
voting, they don't
You're only
participate.
going to have 200, 300, 400 at the most.
Sir,
For the meetings. And you're only going to have 200, 300, 400.
but you gotta
come to
have meetings all over the county.
You're not going to have 58,000 people, that's for sure.
You won't ever get all of them, but you'll get more of them than what you're getting now. If you take the meetings to the people, if you take it to them, and I mean, it's just like, how many of them gonna go to Commissioner's Court in our precinct? No. How many don't even go to Conroe for a meeting out of our precinct? Very few.
Right.
If you bring the meeting back over to them, you put it in their neighborhood, and you have different meetings in different neighborhoods, you'll get more people participating in it.
But you're still going to get that, the people that want, with the 10-year-old kids that say they want the park, the people that, get the thing flooded out every time, they're going to want the flood fixed. So you're going to get everything, one who wants everything. So the question really comes down to, you got to decide.
You gotta make a decision at the end of the day. The commissioner has to make one of the final decisions.
So guys, try to find out, you're thinking, how do you make those decisions? What, is there a priority, how do you figure that out? 'Cause the voters want to know.
Let's take Saunders Road for instance. It needs to be widened out. If I'm gonna come down to a choice of spending $5 million on a park or $5 million on Saunders Road, I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna say, Saunders Road needs to be fixed. It's a traffic hazard. It's a hazard. We need to fix it. That's how I'm gonna make my decisions.
So I'll play the other side. I have a child, I know the neighbor boy down the street got killed because there was no real park to play, so they're playing on the road. So can you build us a park, because, our children don't have any place to play. and they're getting hurt, they're playing on the roads, and they need a place that's safe where they can, or our kids are running around vandalizing stuff because they need a park where they can have ball games and constructive things. There's nothing around here. We've got to drive 30 minutes to get over to the nearest park, or we got to drive
That's
40
when we
minutes.
all get together, and we sit down, and we talk it out, hash it out, and figure out the best way to go. I mean, one person,
So you 50/50.
it don't matter how many.
You got half the people want the park, half the people want the road.
Somebody will have to make the decision,
And that's you.
that'd be me, and I'd make the
How do
decision
you
on doing the
decide?
road every time.
Okay.
When it comes to something like that, I would, if it's a hazard road like Salters Road, I'd make the decision to do Salters Road. Now, if it's just a everyday road like my road, like Russell Drive, I may go to the park, because Russell Drive is a residential street.
Well, half the people think not having a park is a hazard because the kids are not
But
safe.
not having a road wide enough for a kid to ride a bicycle down that road's a hazard too. And we got a bunch of them, a bunch of them.
Who else? Ben?
So, under what parameters are you going to evaluate a grant for continuing education or law enforcement?
How would I choose?
No, what criteria, under what parameters are you going to accept or reject grant monies specifically for continuing education?
Well, the grant money, if there's no strings attached, and that's what I tried to explain to them last night, if there's no strings attached to it, it's a simple deal. It's my tax dollar, I want it back in my community. But if it's strings attached to it, you gotta
They all
stop.
have strings attached to them, so.
Well, you say that, and some people say that, but not necessarily. So, we have to go back
Okay,
and
so
forth.
assume it has strings attached. Under what parameters?
We'd have to sit down and look at each case individually. I couldn't sit here and make that decision standing here. I'd have to look at each case and see what the strings are.
Hold on. Joe, you got a question? John, you got a question? You got anybody else? Okay, go Peter.
Can you give me an example of a grant that has no strings attached?
Not offhand, I think.
Can you conjure up a hypothetical example of a grant with no strings attached? Can you construct theoretically?
No.
Well, you said that if it had no strings attached, I'm just asking you can you give me a hypothetical, theoretical example of a grant that has no strings attached?
No.
Michelle?
I just wanted to ask one more question. First of all, I actually want to say I like your idea that you actually care about what the citizens think in precinct 4 would happen with our money, as opposed to whoever has donated the most to your campaign or something like that. So I do like that idea, but I'm curious, do you plan to make this your full-time job, or do you still work in the other private sector? What are your plans?
Commissioner job, in my opinion, is a 24/7 job, and that's what I intend on doing. As far as campaign money, I've sent about $30,000 back. I didn't accept no campaign money. All my campaigns come out of my pocket.
Really?
Every bit of it's come out of my pocket. Every sign you see on the road, I put it up. I asked permission, I put it up.
Why?
Because I chose to do that. That was my decision. The money that was sent to me, there was some companies sent me some money, there's some more people sent me some money, I sent all that money back. I didn't take a dime. I did not take a dime. I had one fundraiser that some money come in, I ended up spending more to fundraiser than what the money come in. It was like $1,000. My cost, I got $800 for that deal. So I didn't try to have any more fundraisers. I didn't throw the big fundraiser like the other counties did. I didn't want it. I don't like to be obligated to somebody. If somebody gives me money, if you donated me $10,000, I feel obligated to you. I don't want that obligation. I don't want to feel obligated to anybody. I want to be able to give everybody the fair chance, equal opportunity to everybody in the community.
Go ahead, Kat.
So you said your budget was, for precinct 4 is roughly $6 million, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how is that appropriated between the various different categories? And you,
I think a little $2.5 million, that was for salaries.
salaries, okay, and then everyone else?
I'd have to go back. The numbers, I got it all wrote down in my book. Can't remember all off my head. It seemed like that was the number, like $2.5 million was salaries and some of the cost. We had a couple items in there, with just a flavor at $15,000. Don't know what it went to. Just looking at his budget.
So road projects and whatever, how much does that comprise of the $6 million?
Seemed like it was like 1.2 or something like that for roads.
And how many people are employed by the county, or by your precinct?
I think it was like 48.
Okay,
I deal with too many numbers to keep all that in my head.
2 more quick questions and go ahead, Ken. Oh, Sarah's got a question. Sarah, go ahead.
So you just said you gave that money back because you didn't want to be obligated to anybody. So would you agree that taking money from somebody, you're obligated to that person to a certain extent?
You feel obligated. Some people just feel obligated. They don't really obligated.
So my question is, when you take a federal grant, are you then obligated to the Fed to do what they want?
If the strings are attached, yeah, you can obligate.
No, there are no strings.
If there's
it's
no
just
strings,
money.
I'm not obligated because that's my tax dollar anyway.
But you just said taking money made you feel obligated.
But it's my money to start with. The
Well,
tax dollars from the federal government is tax dollars I pay in.
It's not tax dollars, it's debt. The federal government is trillions of
But
dollars
if they
in
give
debt.
you money, it's still your tax dollars if they give you money.
No,
No,
it's
the
not.
the chairman of the Federal Reserve in 1924 told the American Bar Association that the federal government did not use or need taxes for the money they spent, and that's true, they don't.
They create debt.
They create
And
debt.
Well, they
the
create
grants
debt.
you get.
Yeah, they do not, no, that's the chairman of the Federal Reserve said taxes are not, the federal government does not live or use your taxes. The money they spend, they don't need your taxes for.
Taxes,
He went on to tell you what the taxes were for, and they didn't have anything to do with funding the needs of the federal government. They have the Federal Reserve to create the debt.
So,
But the point is, if they give you money in a grant, it's for doing something.
That's
They're
right.
gonna- So that is a strength. There's no way they can give you
If
money.
they give it to you for a specific reason, and you're gonna get money for a specific.
And there is no such grant not for a purpose. A grant is always to buy you new police cars, to put uniforms on your people.
But when they you buy that new car, then how are you gonna maintain that car? They give you the money to maintain it.
Sure, if they give you the money to maintain it, but see, that's a string. They gave you
Right.
they're dictating what your police department's doing, is buying new cars. And they could give you all the money to buy the car, maintain the car, put a police officer in the car, and maybe they're doing it so you could do drug interdiction. What they've just done is taken control of your police department, because they're telling your police department what it has to do.
That's really we got to take it on case-by-case basis, sit down and look at it.
But every grant is given for
Well,
a
I
purpose.
understand, I understand what
And
you're
so-
saying. If you're saying every grant's got a string, that's fine, we'll look
Well,
at it,
it's
but
just a
we still
purpose.
need to look at it at a case-by-case basis.
It's a purpose. The grant has a purpose. You
But,
call
I
it
mean,
a string,
it's
but
the
it's a
same way
purpose.
when I get money to do a job.
Yep.
They give me $30,000 to go do the pipe side, they give me $25,000 to go do the sheet metal side.
They're telling you what to do.
They're telling me how much money I'm
Exactly.
allowed to spend.
And so the federal government's doing the same thing. When
Doing
they
the
give you a
same thing.
grant, they're telling you how to run your department.
So with that comment, you have to shift gears here. So why don't you do a closing, anything that you want to make sure that we know about you, or any closing thoughts, and so we can wrap it up.
Well, there's a lot of questions like the grant stuff comes up. A lot of questions come up, what if questions. I don't like to answer what if questions. I don't like to come up with make-believe scenarios. I live in the real world. Everything I do has to be cut and dried, and I believe in passing that along to everybody too. So when people ask me a hypothetical question, I really don't like to answer, because there's too many what ifs out there. I like to give straight answers. I like to give answers to things I know. If I don't know the answer, I'm gonna go look it up. If I give a wrong answer, it's because I've got the wrong information. I get most of my information like everybody else off the internet. Until you get inside, you get to be elected official, where you can get inside, open up doors, open up more file cabinets, to know what the exact reason and why they do things, and how they did it. Then you don't really know the true story. Things that's coming out, like Mr. Clark, Mr. McCluskey, things come out on them. Is it true? I don't know that. I hear it just like everybody else does. If I want to comment on it, I make a general comment, but I'm not gonna get into the details because I don't know the details. I'm not the type of person to try to spread rumors. I'm not the type of person gonna create rumors. I'm not gonna talk about somebody unless I know for a fact it is something that needs to be talked about. I'm a people person. I deal with people on a daily basis. On my safety job, I deal with the people who comes in that fails drug test. In the last 37 years, 38 years, I've hired as many people as I could from East Montgomery County. There's a lot of people in East Montgomery County that I brought in from right out of high school and trained them. They've gone on to be good pipe fitters, good pipe welders, good sheet metal workers, maybe equipment operators. There's quite a few of them in East Montgomery County that I've worked with. They still call me on a daily basis. I still go out looking with other companies. They work with other companies. I still go out and help them out if they need help. Money that I spent with companies, I've had a gas card, company gas card. Ever since I was 22 years old, I try to buy all my gasoline in New Caney. Does it mean anything? Does it matter? Well, it's tax dollars. Does that tax dollar stay in our county? I'm hoping it does, because I spend a lot of money in gasoline. And I try to buy it all in New Caney. I can buy it anywhere I want to. There's no limit on where I can buy gas, but I try to buy all my gasoline in New Caney. It's little things like that, guys, that I try to put back into our community. Anything that I can buy in New Caney, I buy from MDN, off from Ace Hardware, or Community Hardware. I try to buy all those stuff that I can from. Try to keep the money in our county. I can't do it all. I can't keep all of it there, but I try all I can. I do my part. I try to do my part.
Thank you.